Okay guys, so this is what we'll be making today. I've taken a small JCPenney mask for a client and I've deconstructed it, and I will be rebuilding it and showing you how I do it to make the mask much larger and comfortable for my client to use at work. So see you in the video. Hi guys, I'm here today to show you a client asked me if I could take their work mask and transform it into a mask that's more comfortable for them. So what I've done is I've taken the mask and I've unseamed it to the center. I've taken off the ear loops as well. And what I'll be doing is I'm going to make the mask bigger and more breathable for my client. So I've already cut out my pattern, which I want to show you. So I've made it a little fun. The inside, I will be making stars. The outside, per regulations for the job, is black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pressing this nice and flat. And then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to be fitting the store logo onto the mask, because it is a small logo. A small mask compared to the one we're making for our client. So I'm taking the actual store brand mask and pressing out the seams. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pattern and I'm going to place it over the actual mask pieces. So let me just grab one more thing. I also forgot to mention that I've cut out a lining for these masks. I don't know the proper name for this, but this was recommended from a nurse that works at a hospital. They came up with this pattern, and this has worked amazing for the hospital staff and for myself, because it gives me plenty of room to breathe. It's high enough that you can put your glasses over it, and it's low enough where it goes under your chin and covers you. This pattern has worked magnificent. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and place this on the actual pattern. I want to see where I'm going to be able to cut my proportions. So I use a 1/4 seam allowance here, so I think this kind of looks really good there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this in place like this. Just anchor that there. I'm going to anchor this here. I'm doing this because sometimes you're forced to use what your company wants, and you just don't like the fit. It smothers you. So now what I just did was I turned it around. I'm using my trusty old soap chip, which I have found is the best marker, as opposed to buying any other marking device. So let's take that off. And I'm gonna cut air on the side of being outside the white line. Now we can discard this. Now I'm gonna cut this little corner off right here. Now I'm gonna take my black panel, and I'm using these two colors so she can actually, when she's working, she could wear the dark side, and when she's not working, she could wear the pretty stars. This fabric is actually from Joann's. This fabric is actually from Hobby Lobby. All right, so now that I have this piece here, so I know that this is going to be my left side, which this is. So now what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna figure out how I'm going to put this on here. So basically, this cuts off right here. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to come and I'm going to fold, well, not gonna fold it, I'm gonna come in here, and for purposes to show you, I'm gonna come in and draw here for you a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So what I'm gonna find on here is, again, I'm gonna place that there, and I'm going to, don't mind me, it's a little tight here. Fold, let me fold it this way. I'm going to fold in this 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so that 1/4 inch seam allowance is pressed in. And up here, I'm also going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance only because that's for me to show you. But I normally would just take this over like this. Let me, well, I will show you. Don't mind me. I haven't done this on camera before, so it's like, I know how to do it, just I don't want to confuse you. All right, so this is going to be our line we're going to be sewing our mask. So I'll just go ahead and just draw a line across like that, just so you can get a visual. So now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to flip this over like that, and I'm going to draw, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance right here. So I'm going to go off the side for a second, sew that, and I'll be right back. I wanted to come back and show you that I did do a 1/4 inch seam allowance here, and we still have this 1/4 inch seam allowance here. So what I'm going to do is, it's already been pressed, this 1/4. So what I'm going to come and do now is press this seam down, because we have so limited amount of fabric on the brand name mask that I'm taking advantage of not missing a little bit of it. So now what I'm going to do, since I have this beautifully pressed here, I'm going to come in and give this a little top stitch. Give me 1 second, and then I will show you how I continue to do the rest of the mask. So here we have it. We have our store logo placed on the left side of the mask, and now we are ready to continue with making our bigger, more comfortable face mask for our client. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the other side, the right side of the mask, and I'm going to sew it around here, and I'll be right back. Guys, I'm back. I took the liberty off camera to sew the nose and mouth section in the front, 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we have this already done. I've taken the filter that's going into this mask, and I've sandwiched it, the black fabric in between. Sew it all together. So you're gonna have this. Now it's time to do the ear loops for our mask. So I have here 7-inch t-shirt ear loops that I've created with t-shirt that I've cut 1 inch wide, and you simply stretch it and it gives you the best ear loops you're going to find. With the ear loops, I also use these little beads that you can find in the craft store. Now I will use clear on the ear loops, so I just got to get 2 clear, and then I use a wire to fish it through. So I do the fishing of the beads after, but for right now I'll show you how I do it. So we're going to pretend these are already sewn in. I take the wire, pop the ear, the pony bead through it. These I got at Michael's as well, and you just pull it through. And I wash mine on a daily basis, whatever I use, and my clients, and these do not come off, and they are very adjustable, very comfortable. All right, so let me get back to the process of putting this together. So you will notice that your ear loops have a smooth side and a side that has 2 little curls in it. I take the 2 little curls side and I put it up so that way when we fold our mask over, the smooth side is showing. All right, so I put that a little bit over the 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then I take my liner fabric and I put that right over it, holding that in place. And I use my little clips. Now with these masks, I do not use any pins. I do not want to pierce. One moment. Sorry, phone call. I don't want to pierce this material because I don't want any extra, how can I say? I don't want to make any punctures in it where you can breathe in or breathe out anything that could make someone sick. So then I take this one here with this double side up, I bring it around, and again I put it a 1/4 inch away from the seam, and I'm gonna use my clips like that, and then I'll come on the other side again with the double side up. I'm gonna come a 1/4 inch away, and I'm going to place my fabric over it, use my little clip to hold it. Then I'm going to follow through, making sure that my double side of the loops are up. Then I'm going to pinch it and clip it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this in like that. I'm going to come to the right side and I'm going to start sewing right here, like 1 inch away from the edge, and I will leave an opening on the bottom as well. So this piece here is going to be open, so that way when I go to flip, turn it inside out, I have that opening right there. All right, so I'm going to go off to the machine and I'm going to sew around the whole perimeter coming to here, and then I will come back and I'll show you how I turn it around. Hey guys, I'm back. I've completed doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance throughout the whole border of the mask, and I've left an opening so I can turn it around. And when you do sew this, you have to make sure that your ear loops are away from the seam allowance so you don't catch them. So how I do this is I stick my finger in here and I grab the, get my hand in the right pocket here. I go in and I grab the ear loop. Let me find it. And I start pulling and help turning it as it goes through. Very simple, very easy. Comes out really nice. I've done so many of these masks that I can whip them out in no time whatsoever. So what I was saying about the lining before, you don't want to puncture any holes into it because you want to keep any breath or anything from going in and out of it, and then propellants, I think you would call it. And when I do sew this, I'm sewing on my tightest stitch because, again, I want to protect the integrity of the mask and not having anything loose where anything could come in through any of the openings. So now I'm pulling my ear loops and adjusting my face mask. And now I'm going to come in and to finish this off, I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And now because I do a lot of, let's say, mask sewing, I do a lot of masks. I don't go back and do back stitching and all that nonsense. I don't have the time for all that stuff. And I don't need to iron it because the way I finish this off is going to be so crisp that it doesn't need it. So here you're getting an idea of what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go off on the camera again, and I'm going to simply tuck these raw edges here 1/4 inch in. And I'm going to be sewing that closed all the way around, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so I'm back. I just wanted to show you how beautiful this came out. These little soap marks come off as soon as you wash them, so I'm not concerned about it. I do use a little snipper to snip off all of my little threads. I detest threads coming out. So this is it. This is our little mask. And now I'm going to see if I find 2 clear beads to put on the end of my mask. So here's this one, here's this one. Put these back, and I will show you what you can look for in the store as far as the beads are concerned. These are pop assorted pony beads. It didn't come in this bag. This was just a sheet that I had that came in here. So I threw them all in here. I have my 2, and this has a little pocket here where I threw in the label, so I know when to replace them. I'll know what it is, but I think I'll have that for a long time. And then my grandkids could also make jewelry. So now that I've created this, now I find the center of my ear loop, stick my little wire in. That's a floral wire that I'm using. You can use whatever you like, whatever you have at home. And if you don't have any wire, you could use a piece of string, or you can just take, this is elastic, so I won't be using that. You can use a piece of string or a piece of yarn, whatever, and loop it through like that, but I'm using this because it makes it easy for me. So I find my center. I make sure that the loops are nice and even. I will pierce this through. Make sure I'm centered. And I just pop it through. Extremely easy. And we're all done. I don't know if you can pick up the patch that I put here from the store, but this is it. Oh, and when you're making your mask, make sure that when you're folding it over, you keep this side to this side, the print side on that side, and this side, because you don't want to see the underneath print popping up through your edges. And this mask, like I said, I have not pressed it. It is completely perfect, as you could see, and all done. It really is very quick. And to tell you I've made a lot of masks, I've made myself quite a few, so I thought I'd show you my little collection. This is my pinks, my girly ones. I made a little bow, and the bow, I did it in the same way that I did this here. I put the fabric over it, I scrunched it, I hand sewed the edges until I was able to actually go and rather baste it and put it exactly where I wanted it. This one is has 4 layers. It has the pink, the white, the liner, and then it has this really cute high heel shoe fabric on the other side with glitter. Now all my masks, I try and make them where they're reversible. This is a fun striped with flowers. This fabric is from Joann's. And on the other side, I put some fleece, some soft fleece. These are basically, this is the one I used to go to all medical offices or whatever, because it has 4 layers. It keeps me extra protected. And I breathe perfectly, perfectly fine, and I feel safe. So this is my mini polka dot one, and then I have my bandana on the inside. So all of these are reversible, like I was saying. Then I have here my blue with another blue print inside with just stars. This is when I wear my blues. This is for when I'm wearing my greens and feel summery. The inside is orange, again reversible. This is again my stars, and this black inside is black fleece, not fleece, I told you before. Oh, someone's calling me, but I hope, one moment, I hope that this little video has inspired you and you try to create them. And oh, this is Jessie mask. So maybe you could Google it, and then you'll find the original pattern designer. All right, so as I was saying, oh, my daughter keeps calling. Well, anyway, guys, this is it. These are my winter, and I'll get back to you another time. Thank you for watching. Give it a thumbs up.